Hello again everybody, Michael here for Tactica Imperialis. I've got another 40k tactics video here for you today. Something away from the Death Stars, which is uploading as I speak, so be sure to check that out. I'm going to talk about the MSU and the Blob build today. These are two complete opposites of build. One involves multiple small units, one involves multiple big units. MSU I'm going to start with. This is generally used by elite armies such as Space Marines, Eldar, Necrons. There are others of course, and I'm sure that there are almost any army can run MSU, even NIDs with things like NID Warriors as their troop choices. It involves using small size squads to claim multiple objectives, usually with transports for mobility. So for example, instead of running as a Space Marine player two 10-man tactical squads who can claim 2 objectives and fill out your troop section, you run 4 squads of 5, at least 2 of which probably will be mounted in Razorbacks for speed. Generally they don't get upgraded all that much. You may invest in a flamer or a missile launcher at most, and then split into combat squads and go that way. This is good because it allows you to claim more objectives than you would if you were running in larger squads. Although it does decrease durability. So one thing MSU players have to be able to do is distract the enemy from the MSUs, make them think the MSUs are not that important even though they're the ones that are going to win the game. So for example, a lot of Necron armies that run MSU often will run multiple Annihilation Barges and Wraiths so as to distract the enemy. That way they're shooting at the powerful but non-essential units such as wraiths and shooting guns instead of shooting at the warriors who will usually be mounted in flyers who are just whizzing around claiming objectives. It's quite simple really, it's very effective. A good way of countering this is to prioritise your threats. Don't just think, oh my god, that squad is huge and powerful, I need to kill it. Think about where his troops or her troops. Where is my opponent going to win the game? Is it going to be by this squad killing everything in my army? No, it's not, because wraiths, no matter how powerful they are, or aspect warriors, no matter how powerful they are not going to win a combat a turn. And if they do, you're still going to be shooting them down when they get out of those melees. So you've got to think, what's going to win them the game? Is it going to be this powerful squad, or is it going to be these little troop units who you might think I'm going to ignore? Hard as it seems, you have to target the units that are going to win your opponent the game. Considering 5 of the 6 missions are troop-based, objective-based, you really need to prioritise troop units. And in cases of big guns never tiring the scouring, you may need to look at fast attack and heavy support as well. But always kill the troops. And in MSU, this isn't as hard as it makes out. You can usually hit 2 or 3 of them with a blast template, which is great. You can easily whittle them down with small arms fire because there's not enough wounds and they will fail armor saves eventually. Don't imagine that you can catch every MSU in melee with a melee army, because usually they can have a transport there and just shoot off again the minute you get close. They could even use you as bait. So combat oriented armies, or Death Star oriented armies particularly, have trouble killing MSU, because MSU can easily just move fast and keep shooting as they move. Fast Death Stars such as the Seer Council, which I'm uploading at the moment, is able to do this maybe because of its variety of power, but generally things like the Paladin Wing and the Logan Wing, which I've already covered, really can't cover the board. So MSU players, if you see your opponent has got a lot of big units, you need to harass the big units, but try and keep them at arm's length if you can, because otherwise they'll get in your face and they'll start rapid firing and they'll start charging, and your little squads don't stand much of a chance. Anti-MSUs obviously look to your anti-infantry weapons, look to your blast weapons, because you can easily kill 1 or 2 and that can cause morale checks and break the squad, and if not, it's easily going to thin them down for the next round. Try and engage them in melee unless you know that they're dedicated melee units, which is rare in the troop units these days. So you have a good chance of trying to get into melee and kill them if you can. That's about it really. So to sum up MSU, protect it with distractions and keep it mobile. For dealing with it, try and prioritise the MSU units and try and, I'm not saying ignore everything else, but you may need to prioritise better. And vehicles are a great way to get started on this. If you can take vehicles like transports down, you render them very immobile and you can pick them off a little easier. At the other end of the scale in terms of size, you have the Blob. The Blob is commonly run by orcs with boys, nids with gaunts, guardsmen, chaos cultists perhaps, although you don't generally see chaos cultists. And they're simply there to get as many men on the ground, or men, organisms, whatever you want to call them, on the board as you can. Because generally, if I'm going to use orcs as an example, a 30-man squad is less than 200 points without upgrades. You can easily get 2 or 3 of these in a 1,000-point game. You've got 90 bodies on the table, at which point you've got just under 500 points to pay for HQ, for some tanks. Guards the same. You can easily get 3 30-man platoons plus command in for the same price. And then you can pay for HQs and Russes. Nids, if you're going to run a blob strategy, try and support it with a Tervigon, because you need 30 termagants, which is kind of a gimme, to unlock the Tervigon, which can breed more termagants and be a very powerful monstrous creature that to sit on an objective. In terms of dealing with a blob, because people will see 90, 100 models on the board and think, oh my god, how am I going to kill everything? Fact of life is, unless you've got a lot of anti-infantry firepower, you're not. So, unless you are bringing Tesla destructors with lots of arcing weapons, or you're bringing Punisher cannons, flesh borer hives, whatever else, unless you've got real good anti-infantry guns based in your army, you're probably not going to kill everything. The best thing you can do is the fact that each blob can only claim, realistically, 1 objective. So if you can kill 1 blob, that's 1 objective. Your opponent has to then find another troop squad to go and claim, which is not that hard considering the cost of them, but it's a good way to try and whittle them down. Don't let them get close, because if they get in close, they can start rapid firing or firing more shots, and then eventually getting a charge off in the case of the orcs and the nids. Nids are probably the best ones for the blob tactic, because they have a lot of access to psychic powers like Catalyst and Dominion and other powers that can really buff the blobs. And they also have access to a lot of monstrous creatures who can be great deterrents, because blob players need deterrents. Distractions who can throw themselves in, throw away they're almost throwaway units, give up the points, and perhaps even a kill point in some cases, but protect the blob from the firepower, because if the blob's up in the opponent's face, the opponent's trapped, and they're going to have to shoot and assault their way out, and most armies don't have the assault capability to do that. That's all there really is, because blobs are quite one-dimensional. They're big guys on the board, go for objectives and just sit there. You can easily take advantage of orders, psychic powers, or cover, such as big mechs with custom force fields, to protect you from all the firepower that your opponent is going to throw at you. So anything that can protect the blobs, great. Anything that can distract the enemy from the blobs, great. But never neglect your heavy units, because blobs famously have a problem dealing with armour. And by which I mean tanks, rather than armour saves, because you can get enough shots and enough attacks in to whittle down armour saves. It's tanks that you're going to have a problem with, so don't neglect things like your las cannons, things like your Lehman Russes, things like monstrous creatures and battle wagons and anything else that's designed to kill tanks. Don't leave it at home when you're playing a blob list. It may mean you sacrifice 10 men from one of your blobs in order to squeeze in that tank, but you have to do it, because if you run into an army that's basically got a powerful tank on the board, for example, if a Space Marine player brings a Land Raider Redeemer with twin Flamestorm cannons, you've got to be able to kill it, or it's going to burn you to pieces. Trust me. Excuse me. That's about all, really. So, best of luck if you are an MSU or Bob player. I haven't played MSU myself, because all the armies I seem to collect have been larger armies like Guard and Orcs. I had a spell with Necrons, but I never had a chance to play them proper MSU because I never had a flyer. But I'm sure that MSU players will find their own little tricks that I haven't covered today, because I don't know everything, unfortunately. If you have any comments, I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed the series or the video, be sure to leave a like. Thank you for watching. My name is Michael, and I will see you